YouTube, welcome to the top 16 of the Meta Weekly, and is this the end of Master Duel as we now have 9 Maxx, draw per summon from the hand, draw per summon from the deck or extra deck, and just draw per special summon no matter what. Now, I do believe Pirellia is overhyped by many. You all remember when this card was announced, I was one of the few that came out and said, hey, I don't think this is that big of a deal. Let's all calm down. But then Fuelos came out and I started freaking out. I made that video. I said Maxx could get banned. This is it. And then Konami's semi-limited Maxx. Not a ban, but it's close enough, right? Well, we'll see what's going to happen in Master Duel. Is this the end? Will Konami see a big drop in players and then be forced to ban Maxx? Or will this make the game better? Is a big problem with the game the fact that players take too long in their first turn and you now have 9 Maxx to shorten their turn 1 play? Possibly, maybe. Let's find out in today's event the true impact of 6 to 9 Maxx. Are you ready? Watch as long as you can. Greatly benefits and supports these videos. Thank you very much. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Starting off with the King Sark, normal summoning the Hexa Spirit. This is like a Swap Frog as we send from the deck a Mirror Mage. When sent to the grave, search our deck for a wins over the Ice Barrier. We are now going to be activating Maxx, but chain the Ash Blossom to negate. Where are the Mulcharmies? Now, Vsauce playing Super Heavy Samurai, maybe because of the new release of Pirellia and Fuelos. We'll find out in the Duel 2 or 3 if there is one, as we special summon the Ice Bear from the hand, which reborns a monster from the grave, which we then normal summon to now make a Baron to floor. We're going to Mirror Mage tribute off an Ice Bear to summon up to how many tokens? 3? 3 tokens in the field. Winds of the Ice Barrier, which we're going to be using to summon from the deck 2 bodies. We now have a Revealer and a Spellbreaker. Let's talk about the Spellbreaker in a bit, as we first make a Coral Dragon level 6 Tuner Synchro, turning this into a Lancia. With this Lancia, does it end our turn? Coral Dragon triggering to draw a card into a Veiler. Discard the newly drawn Veiler to summon from the deck a Georges, which we're now going to use the Speaker of the Ice Barriers, banishing to summon a token on field to now turn this into an Ice Jade Gamer. Now, we end our turn. What did we accomplish here? The Ice Jade Gamer is going to protect our field. You could activate this effect, and what's going to happen, your monsters cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. And if you chained it to a card effect, you then get to banish that card. That's going to be a 1-card disruption. Baron to floor, Omni negate anything, mates. And then Lancia. Lancia has the effect of when the opponent summons a monster, we can then special summon an Ice Barrier from the hand, deck, extra deck, or graveyard, and then change a battle position. We'll hold off on calling this disruption until it gets disrupted. Are you ready? Maxx, before making our play, Lancia going to trigger to summon from the deck a General Reiho. When the opponent activates a monster effect, they must discard a card from their hand, or the effect's negated. We have the Benki. While we control Super Heavy Samurai, we're going to search, but we're going to Gamer, negate, and not negate, but banish. By banishing, you are essentially negated. We now can't be destroyed by card effects, nor be banished. We have the Wakashi setting up another Benki, special summon the Wakashi. We are holding on to the Baron to floor, as we now turn this into a Baguska. Baguska going to turn off the Baron to floor, and also turn off the Lancia. Lancia is negated, everything into D. Do we play any Link monsters? We do play Little Knight. Get ready to Little Knight banish the Baguska, which gives up our direct attack battle phase plays. On summon, say goodbye to Baguska, Lancia, and Gamer back into attack. As we now end our turn, Revealer is going to use the effect to, instead of discard, banish a Revealer to summon a monster from the deck as the Ash Blossom now negates. Now, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot tribute summon. Who cares? That does nothing. We're going to be saying goodbye to the Ice Barrier token with the Little Knight, as we now Winds of the Ice Barrier, add a Georges Engrave back to our hand to special summon itself onto the field as a level 6 tuner. As a level 6 tuner, it's going to reborn a Mirror Mage from Engrave to now turn this into a Chang Ying. Holy moly, now we're cooking. Now, what did we accomplish here? Quite a lot. We have, again, the effect of Lancia to change a battle position on a special summon and summon a Floodgate-ish type Ice Barrier. If a card is banished, the Chang Ying will then trigger to banish another card on the field and in the graveyard. So we have the Little Knight banish, the Chang Ying banish, the Gamer banish. We got triple disruption plus the Lancia. Wagon, chain, Little Knight, banish you out of here. Be gone. You have to be the direct chain link to it. As the Changing triggers to get rid of the Banky and a card in grave. Now we just have the Ice Jade Gamer with a Nibiru in hand. Are we going to summon 5 monsters for no reason? Cross out, designate. That is BM mate Jin. What are you doing? No, we were kidding. I'm kidding. We're triggering Changing. That's actually not BM, not BM. Lethal damage over 11,000, just like that. Ice Barrier advancing to game 2 within the top 16. Motorbike. Discard and search our deck for the Wakashi. Let's speed this up since we have no disruption. We're going to start off with a hand trap. We do have Droll and Lockbird, which will disallow further adding from the deck after adding once. We do have Baron to floor to negate anything. We do have Dissipator, which will be able to negate a monster effect. We have Masquerena, which will be able to go into a Little Knight double banish play, so that's 5 disruption. We do have the back row Primero Trudea plus field spell, which will turn into another form of disruption, making it 6. 6 disruption versus 4 cards in the hand because 2 of them got randomly banished. Let's go. Revealer wants to, in an open game state, discard a card to summon from the deck. It's not a trigger on summon. Because of that, we're going to take advantage in response to its summon, not allow you to get to that open game state, to instead Synchro Shokan into a Crimson Dragon. Now, we are in response to our Crimson Dragon summon. We're going to activate Crimson Dragon, which is not a trigger effect to Synchro. It's a quick effect. You need a toggle on here. Targeting the Auxilla to now make a Blazar Dragon. And now with Blazar Dragon, we have our Omni Negate. We're not done. Masquerena into Little Knight, banish, into another banish, into an Omni Negate, into a Negate, into a Negate. Let's hop into game 3. Medallion, add an Ice Barrier from our deck. We do have Ash Blossom and the Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner is only on a special summon do we get to negate. We're negating the effect of summoning from the deck, thus we want to finger that Ash Negate. There we go. Now, whatever we summon is going to be susceptible to the Ghost Mourner negating. Now, with this, it wasn't that great. We do have Maxx, which they can't stop. We also have Ash Blossom. And then the Lancia, I'm just going to count it as a form of disruption, even though it's not really. It could change a battle position and summon a monster that could turn into essentially a mini floodgate. Let's see what's good. Welcome, X Rich from Germany. Thank you for being here. Primera, searching the deck for a stand-up Centurion. With the stand-up Centurion, you cannot Ash Blossom it, as it does interact with the deck, but puts it into the back row, which Ash cannot affect. Goodbye to a token. Lancia is waiting for a special summon. It does not trigger unless you special summon. I'm setting off the top of the deck is nuts. Discard Maxx, grab a King Sark, additionally draw a random card here. Now we get the Gargoyle special summoning from the back row, which is going to be triggering our field spell to Synchro. What are we synchroing into? The Legatus, right? Crimson Dragon. Ooh. A lot of people forget or don't know that Crimson Dragon states target a level 7 or higher Synchro on either field. It does not have to be your own. So we're going to target the Lancia to turn this into a Dissipator. Summoning from the deck, the General Reiho, triggering the Gargoyle. When do we whip out the Crimson Dragon play? Grab to our hand, summon for the deck, and now we're going to target the Lancia. The General Reiho is forcing us to discard a card. As now turn this into exactly what I said, Dissipator is here. Now with the King Sark, we're going to be using the Revealer to, instead of discard a card, use the Revealer in grave, because that's the effect to pay the cost instead of discarding to summon from the deck, as we then turn this into a Trishilla. Trishilla on summon, banish a card on the field, hand, and grave, and we are chain link blocking. If there's ever a card effect that says negate the effect of the card, negate the activation of the card like this, when your opponent activates a monster, you have to be the direct chain to it to then return the opponent's banished card back in the deck to negate the activated effect. You want to think about chain link blocking, which can only be done generally with trigger effects. So this states the Mirror Mage. If sent to the graveyard, it does something. Trishula says when summoned, it does something. So by combining both, we protect the Trishula from being negated, thus we get to banish. Say goodbye to the Dissipator, say goodbye to a card in the hand, say goodbye to a card in the grave. This is huge. We are negating a useless effect. The Mirror Mage effect of searching is not that useless, but you know, you don't get to search. We don't really care about that. We are protecting the Trishula. Banish, Banish, and Banish! Ain't no way! George has come forth and special summon from the hand, reborn from engrave, Synchro Shokan this into a Chang Ying. We have 9,400 damage, and just like that, Ice Barrier. Doing the unimaginable, advancing to the top 8. Wow. That's nuts. That is nuts. It's also worth noting that the Lancia states, if this Synchro Summon card leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon a Synchro and it's treated as a Synchro Summon, which is how you get out your Trishula. But because Trishula says, when this card is Synchro Summoned, you can do something. When you can equals, it can miss the timing if its summon is not the last thing. So the big problem becomes when the Lancia is being on chain link 2 or higher because of another trigger effect happening at the same time. And this generally will be disruptive only during the opponent's turn, because the opponent will have trigger priority to activate their effects, and then you'd add the Lancia on top of those effects, and then Trishula. I see it all the time. The Ice Barrier player summons a Trishula, miss the timing, they have no idea what just happened, and then they lose. Begin. Special summoning a Terror Top while we control no monsters to trigger the effect to grab our Take Tomborg. Special summon to now make our Cherubini. Cherubini wants to send generally a Water Enchantress. And we are playing against a trap deck using runic cards to help break fields. Flashfire can destroy a special summon monster. Freezing Curses can negate a monster. Now the elf pointing to anything, as you can see here, it's going to be untargetable. So you can't Flashfire, you can't Curses, whatever it's pointing to, which will be the Caddy or the Masquerina. Now Carrot can negate any spell or trap. The Wandering Griffin can negate anything. The Caddy in response to a summon, which we may not summon, but we might actually. We could summon a Gary in the battle phase if we are playing that. We are not playing that. I don't think are we gonna actually summon Hug, and if we do, it will trigger to turn into a form of disruption. We have Masquerina, which whenever we want in the main phase, can have the ability to banish a card on the field and another monster. So that'll be another double disruption. So what's gonna happen likely is we're gonna set 4 cards and then attempt to end the main phase, and then Masquerina is going to make the Little Knight to banish randomly one of these cards, and holy moly, these are very powerful cards. It's going to be super random. We also have a Droplet, we have Called By, but all these disruptions, it's weird counting them up against a trap deck. These are not going to be the same amount of disruptions. We're going to Flashfire, destroy the Griffin. Now, there's an important ruling here. The Griffin states, when a card or effect is activated while you control a adventure token, you activate the effect. Now, part of the effect is shuffle this card into the deck if you do negate the activation. What that means is you can wait for it to activate to negate something, then you chain the Flashfire to destroy the Griffin. Griffin goes to the grave, it now does not negate, it's not in the deck to be recyclable, researchable with the Faithful Adventure. But we didn't have anything worth negating anyway. And as I said, we did not only set 4, we set 5, randomly banishing one of those cards. Oh boy, this is insane, because if we miss the skill drain, we could still activate something, and when we try to use Carrot to negate, we'll flip up skill drain. But in response to the skill drain negating the Carrot, negating something else, we could chain Little Knight to banish the Carrot to dodge the skill drain. I don't know what's gonna happen here. What are we banishing? Daruma Cannon is gone, which had the ability to send all link monsters to the graveyard and flip the entire opposing field face down, as we now summon a Spright Jet from the deck, from the elf, that is, from the graveyard. Anti-Spell Fragrance. If this resolves, all these spells in hand cannot be activated. They must be set for a full turn. But because there's 3 other face down cards, we're going to wait on the Carrot. We're not going to negate the Anti-Spell Fragrance. We're going to Faithful Adventure, grab the Griffin Rider here, discarding the Draco back. Draco back activating from the graveyard to equip onto the token. Now, if we read the Anti-Spell Fragrance, it states that set spells before activating them. We're not activating the card, we're activating the effect of the card, which Anti-Spell Fragrance does not stop, which is why the Draco back engrave as a spell can activate to equip onto the token to then spin a back row card back to the hand. It's a big deal. Huge play there. Griffin can now negate. We have Carrot to negate a back row, Griffin to negate a back row, and Little Knight to help dodge the skill drain or the curses. Is this a checkmate? Draco back, spin back the Anti-Spell Fragrance. Big Welcome Labyrinth on the attack of the Griffin. We're going to Ash Blossom, negate that Big Welcome. And all we have left is a skill draining curses against 2 negates. Griffin negates, Carrot negates, checkmate. Very well done. Wow. I would say that having spell and trap card negates and or omni negates, it can be quite rare to have on a turn 1 field. So you would think that the back row deck in general would do better, but because it's up against Spright, having that Carrot and the Griffin was way too much to deal with. Let's hop into game 2. Let's see what we do here. We are going to set 5 pass. Ain't no way. Oh boy. 5 back row versus 6 cards in hand. We're going to special summon the Terror Top, search our deck for the Take Tomborg. We have not committed to a normal summon yet, as we special summon our Take Tomborg to now make a Cherubini. Benny sending a Water Enchantress from the deck here is great for dealing with floodgates and back row, because it's going to be banishing to grab the Rite of Air's Mirror to summon a token to grab the Draco back to spin back whatever we want back to the hand, and give us an Omni Negate. This is all before we commit to our real play. So because of that, we want to use our Runic Destruction to destroy that Faithful Adventure. That's a 2-for-1 combo. That 1 destruction stopped them from a Griffin negate and stopped them from being able to set up the Draco back spin back. Now we're going to Nightmare Phoenix on summon, discard a card to destroy a back row card randomly. The Dragon Ice Prison is going to steal the Terror Top from the opponent's graveyard, which is a machine, which is important to note that unless the opponent has a machine, we're not going to banish a card in their field. We're going to chain Maxi to them summoning our own monster, as they then do not get to follow up banish. The Nimble Angler being sent to the grave from the hand will trigger to summon 2 Nimbles from the deck to now make a Spright Elf. Elf will reborn a monster from engrave. We do have the Carrot effect to be able to negate any back row card here, as we now make a Little Knight. By committing to the Little Knight effect, we cannot attack directly. Big Welcome Labyrinth, summon from the deck. We're going to allow it to go through by not chaining our Spright Carrot, because instead we know the Big Welcome's going to summon a monster, then return a monster, so the lovely Labyrinth will not be able to destroy a card unless it returns a monster. Little Knight is going to be banishing that opposing monster to ensure that the lovely does not trigger, so the Flash Fire is going to be using the effect to, I think we made a mistake. We oopsied. The oopsie is, if you Flash Fire, destroy the Little Knight targeting itself plus another monster to banish, now does not banish the other monster because she is gone or the other target is gone, thus you don't banish both cards. But we forgot that Elf is protecting the Little Knight, where I guess in the TCG you would call judge and say this is an illegal play, then call back and summon a Hugget instead, which would then be returned through the effect of the Big Welcome, then you pop a card in the field or in the hand. But we are committing to what I would say a blunder. Popping the Elf instead. And now we summon Lady, return back. And we could have still chained Welcome, but knowing it's our final card and they have a Carrot on field to negate that final card, that's probably why we didn't even bother. Summoning Hero Kid plus specialing the blue, grabbing a Jet. Special summon the Jet searching for the starter summon from the deck, come forth and make a gigantic Spright. Once this resolves, we can't summon Lady. That's it. Both players are locked out of anything that's not level, rank, or link 2. Now making the Elf, which means the Welcome Labyrinth, I don't even know what it can summon. We're just going to wait for the next turn anyway. They cannot attack directly due to the Little Knight banish. Now off of this, we have negate a monster effect, negate a spell and trap card, and banish a monster in field, and on summon turn into another form of disruption, which will be an Omni Negate. We have about 4 disruptions with this field. Looks like we are attempting the battle phase with Terror Top to take out the caddy. Now, the elf only activatable in the main phase will be reborning a blue. Blue, add a Pixies. Does Pixies help us? And we did lose our battle phase. Oops. Now, the Pixie states that the monster damage calculation by level rank link 2 is battling. Send this to the graveyard. That monster you control gains attack and defense. Not just attack, it would have protected the caddy. Holy moly. No battle phase thanks to the runic card. As we now turn this into a soul sweeper to banish the Terror Top, we're going to flip up Welcome Labyrinth to summon from the deck a Lovely Labyrinth. Lovely needs to witness a monster leaving the field through a trap effect. We're going to use Spright Red to negate the Lady Labyrinth from being summoned. Negate. Now, in grave, we don't have the Big Welcome. Big Welcome is gone. It's banished. We have Simul Archfiends. Now, this card can be quite confusing. This turn, neither player can special summon monsters with the same card types, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link that they already control. So we can't Link climb, and we also can't make an Xyz. Xyz and Link are gone. If we look at the extra deck, Xyz and Link is all we have besides the Herald of Arclight, but still, despite trying to lock them out with the Simul Archfiends, it is not enough. 2-0 victory. Spright, which is one of the better decks to deal with stun, knocking out stun from the event. I know every other deck type is thanking Spright for doing so, thanks to the carrot, thanks to the adventure engine, incredibly powerful against stun cards. Let's hop in another match. We already chose to not Fool Loss in the draw phase. Okay, well the Fool Loss is only from the extra deck or deck do we get to draw. So we don't have to worry about them shotgunning a monster from the hand, which someone said earlier that Triple Tactics talent will become better because of Fool Loss existing until you're playing Triple Tactics talent and they start activating this in the draw phase. Grab a Maximus with our Nadir Servant, Garura draw a card, Quem send from the deck a Cartesia, Maximus summon from the hand. Fool Loss does not draw for this special summon. A Pirellia would, but Pirellia's not as good as Fool Loss. Maximus send 2 cards from our extra deck to the grave. Quem's going to trigger, reborn the Cartesia. We're going to bring it at opening, discard our Fool Loss. It's trash if you're going first, so we already know it's not good there. We are still not using our... Wait, we didn't even Fool Loss because they didn't touch the extra deck. They couldn't because of Nadir Servant. Nadir Servant locked them out of the extra deck, and there was no summon from the deck anyway, besides the opening. And what we're going to do? We're going to draw for the Aluber, which they could then choose to add to the hand instead of summoning onto the field if they Fool Loss. So Fool Loss, not so good against Branded, it looks like, until next turn. Let's see. Next turn, the red and Banishment can turn the Fool Loss into a Pot of Greed. Is that good enough? And Cartesia, we could draw 3. 3 plays. And we could probably get an Albaz and reborn it and go into a 4th. We possibly have 4 draws off of Fool Loss, which is only activatable if we have no cards, so it has to be our first play. Whoa! We're gonna draw 2! 2 cards per summon from the deck or extra deck. Woo! This is spicy. What is Brandon gonna do? I mean, a regular Maxx C, we probably just still special. But now they're drawing 2 cards if we summon from the extra deck. We're going to start this off with Little Soldier, send from the deck the Rogue Doll, which will add back to the hand to then summon from the deck itself and another monster. Rogue Doll, summon from the deck the Cattle and itself, sure. Xyz into a Machine X. Now this needs an open game state to activate its effect. This is a good time for you to try to disrupt them. We're going to Cartesia, fuse into them drawing 2. Coritis is not even a form of disruption. They now get to draw 2. 1, 2, and we now have an I'm Seti plus the card we would have searched for. So we're disrupting this from searching the card that we just gave them through summoning from the extra deck. Brandon Red, add back an Aluber. Quem, reborn. We did not fuse with the Brandon Red because of Fool Loss, right? But the Albaz will fuse. And that's another draw 2. We are drawing 4 cards so far. 1, 2. No way. We have Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish. We're going to send from the deck the Gimmick Puppet Bisque Doll and the Terror Baby. Now, right now, we are almost perfectly protected, except the Mirror Jade will play right through it as it can non-target monster banish. The Banishment could also non-target fuse with their field, but despite that, the Bisque Doll states that none of our Gimmick Puppets can be targeted by card effects, And the Terror Baby states that none of our Gimmick Puppet activated effects can be responded to with the card effect. Can't respond, can't target. Let's see what's good. I'm SETI, discarding the trap, which can't activate the turn it's sent to the grave, so it does not matter. We're going to grab a King Sark, plus randomly drawn to a Maxx, which we could add on to the banishment. We're making, to summon the I'm SETI, summon the Happy from Engrave. We're going to make the Machine X again. Now, we're going to Banishment Reborn from Engrave. Did we cross out Designate Maxx? I think we did, right? We already negated Maxx. We can't Maxx in addition to that since it's already negated. We're going to Mirror Jade non-target monster banish. Say goodbye to the Machine X. As the Banishment Reborns, no draw. But fusing your field, I now draw 2. Another draw 2. We draw 6 off of Fool Loss. Is draw 6 good enough? Do we still lose after drawing 6 cards? Albert, no search for you. Dragostapelia is going to be able to negate a monster in the field. We do have the Fiendish Knight reborning a monster to then summon itself from the hand. We have Little Soldiers to turn it into a level 8. And with that, we're now making Gimmick Puppet of Strings, which will put a puppet counter onto every other monster on the field. We're not Dragostapeliaing. We're waiting. Fiendish Knight, add back to the hand when sent to the grave, except from the hand to the grave. We're now going to rank up Argent. Well, we can't target. We can't target. We can't target. Like I just said, you can't target. This can't target. This can't negate. Ain't no way, mate. What's going to happen? We're going to lose our entire field. Everything gets destroyed. We can't respond. We can't chain. We can't target. Wipe the field. We still can't chain to that. Can't chain. Can't chain. Nope. No chain. Wipe it and draw. So we've drawn 7 cards this turn. Oh, opening will protect, but we destroy everything else. Sure, protected from card effect destruction just the first time. Now, an effect that could destroy the entire field and draw a card, of course, it's a hard once per turn, right? It's not. It's going to destroy the field again and draw again. No way. Hey, Fool Loss won this, right? Right? Fool Loss won this. Hold up, it's not done yet. Albaz already activated, though. Yeah, we still win. We still win. Let's go. Lethal damage. Fool Loss drew 6 cards. Fool Loss won that duel going second. Damn. We got Fool Loss again. Again. Do we wait for it? Do we use it on our first turn going second? We have Aliberg grabbing from the deck our Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion, we have Ash Blossom to negate. Very easy mate. Negate. Now, where do we go from here? We do have the Quem, which could reborn in Albaz. If we had one, we do not. We have the Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish. And we have Cartesia, which could trigger the loss to search for a Mercurier. Do we really just have 2 disruption here? I feel like we're missing something. How are we going to be triggering to get an Albaz Engrave? We're going to Imperm, negate the Cartesia in the draw phase, so we're not able to trigger the loss. We have non-target monster banish. Now we have the Mansion. The Mansion states that our Gimmick Puppets are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters. So the effect of Mirror Jade to wipe out the field during the end phase, it works. But the non-target monster banish does not work. We have Little Soldiers send from the deck a Bisque Doll. Bisque Doll is going to make it so you cannot target our cards. Untargetable completely. We're going to summon for the deck a Cattle as we summon the Rogue Doll. The Grand Grenal is going to be triggered to summon a Quem. Quem's going to send the Albaz, and now we have Albaz. Now we have the ability to fuse with their fields. Machine X. Machine X in an open game state is activating to summon the... Ooh, what? We just summoned their Albaz from the graveyard through the effect of Cattle. Cattle states that target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field in defense. Ain't no way. What? We can only control 1 Mirror Jade, so the Albaz cannot turn into another Mirror Jade. As we search our deck for the rank up magic, we're going to use the effect to reborn the Cattle from Engrave to now make a Puppet of Strings. And this is now dangerous, as you put a puppet counter onto every other card on the field. Dark Strings is coming. Rogue Doll add back to the hand. The Dark Strings will destroy every card with a puppet counter to then draw a card. Are you ready? wipe the field, and deal damage equal to the highest attack monster, 3,000 attack, activate Mirror Jade. Puppet Strings is now going to be summoning another body from the engrave, which will be the effect of the gimmick puppet, Cattle, as we're going to put another counter onto it to now make another Dark Strings. So that was the Cattle effect being used more than once per turn. Wipe out the Magna Hut, burn for 25. We got double 3,300. Serenir is coming. What I say, use your Bestial on the effect of the Machine X reborning from engrave. Banish, no grab back of the Machine X. We're going to put another puppet counter onto you as you turn both of ourselves into a Link 2. What are we doing here? 2,500 life. With the Link 2, we can search our deck, then special summon a monster from the hand. With the Machine X, we can additionally summon the Terror Baby. Terror Baby reborn. Surely, this has to be Xyz summon, right? It's not hard once per turn, but you got to Xyz summon it to destroy, to then draw, to then burn. Nope, the special summon triggers the effect. No way! It's lethal damage. Pop, burn, and draw. We did it 3 times. Lethal damage. Wow. That's something. Dark Strings is not even new. I thought he was new. He ain't. He been here for a while. He's super rare. He's crazy good. Pop, draw, and burn. As many times as you could summon it. Fool Loss in the standby phase. Ash. Just like that, Fool Loss eats Ash. If you had another copy of Fool Loss, it would be activatable. And of course, if you had another Maxx, you now had them be eaten by the Ash, eat their Ash, the Fool Loss, then follow up with the Maxx. This is broken stuff. You cannot activate spells. Can't Grass, can't Fusion Deploy. We have Mercurier and Cartesia. That is it. Ain't no way. Pretty much a first turn kill here. Backed up by Maxx, Monster Negate, Link with the Monster, Little Knight Banish, Little Knight Banish. Good luck. Just surrender, bro, right? Yeah, we're like, what are we doing? We got set. Like, come on, let's just go. Game 2. What if the Mulcharmies are an excuse for Konami to make turn 1 even more powerful? That could be the case. As I said, Konami likes balancing their game through unbalanced rocket launchers. And boy, did they just add some rocket launchers to the game through Mulcharmies. Grass looking green. Are you ready? Let's go. Some pretty good fields. We're going to use the Banishment right away. Well, the Mirror Jade's a non-target monster banished. The Borreload is a pop-up card in the field. The Mercurier is a negate. The Super Poly will fuse with their field. The Banishment's going to turn into a form of disruption here. And the Rinbrum into Albaz will fuse with their field plus turn into a form of disruption. We have about 7 disruption, if I'm counting correctly here. It can be a bit confusing when it comes to branded. Reborn Albion early, turning this into the Light and Darkness Dragon. So 7 disruption is now 8, 9. 9 disruption. Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is a mandatory quick effect. It has to activate. Lose 1,000 attack and defense in response to anyone activating a card or a monster effect. Let's go. Lost is not the activation of a card, so it does not negate it. That's going to be a negate. Negate with the Dragon Lord. Mandatory negate. Do it again. Okay, we're going to make a Phantom of Yubel. Come forth and summon. D-Lotus. Negate with the Dragon Lord. Now we're going to Phantom of Yubel to negate the negate. We're going to Mercurier negate the negate, negating the negate. Negate. We're going to call by the grave, negate the negate, negating the negate. Negate by fingering the Mercurier mate. Negate. Now, let's resolve all this. Mercurier no good. Phantom of Yubel turning the effect to Papa Yubel from the deck instead. Come forth and summon a Spirit of Yubel. Now, we didn't lose our negate. We still have 2 more negates because we didn't reduce our attack and defense. We are not only going to be negating the effect of the Spirit of Yubel Engrave, we're also going to add a Mirror Jade effect of non-target monster banishing the Spirit of Yubel on field. Negate. Now, what we have left is 1 more negate. You flip up a continuous spell. What happens when the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord negates it? Well, it negates the activation, thus it was never there. It goes to the grave. 1 in 1. The power of Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is here. Well, you had no play anyway, so don't even bother ashing. Anti-spell fragrance. You now cannot use the Gold Sark, which is a 1-card combo. The Spring and Kit, grab in the Branded Fusion, which cannot be used due to the anti-spell fragrance. We have to wait a whole turn before being able to activate these cards. We are leaning heavily on our Ash Blossom and Nibiru as our only activatable cards. We're going to normal summon Ash alongside the Shivaro to make a Soul of Rage, big enough to take out the Kit. Shivaro's going to set up the Escape of Unchained, which you want to think about popping the Branded Fusion before they activate it in main phase 1. Before, you got to toggle on here. Are we popping the Branded Fusion? We did not. We did not. Ain't no way. Now, we would lose the Soul of Rage because we don't have a Yama to reborn it. But still, it's a Branded Fusion. Send Mercurier and Albaz to summon a Rinbrum, which will be able to negate the Soul of Rage. We're going to Gold Sark, banish from the deck. A Tragedy to search for an Alibur or a Quem. We're going to grab the Alibur here. With the Alibur on summon, we're going to search our deck for a Branded Banishment, already setting up for another turn. Now the Soul of Rage is activating to link off of the Rinbrum as the Rinbrum now instead gets negated by the Negate Impermate. Negate Rinbrum as the Soul of Rage goes into a Little Knight. Little Knight on summon will banish on field or in grave. Do we take out the Alibur or do we go for the grave? We're going for the Alibur instead of the Rinbrum, which does have the ability to reborn the Albaz during the opponent's turn to fuse with an opponent's card. We do have Banishment, which could also reborn a monster from our grave, then perform a fusion summon. This will be a Despia monster or a level 8 or higher fusion, so it cannot be the Albaz. We now have a normal summon Fool Loss here. What is going on at 100 attack? Huh? Swinging in for 100. End the turn. Rinbrum, Reborn Albaz, or Reborn itself, that is, by banishing the Albaz, sure, because the Albaz activating the fuse would then be disrupted by the Little Knight, so there was no point in doing that. What is good? Gold Sark is ticking. To battle we go, simply just don't activate anything, take out Little Knights. Back to you, setting the Called By. Now, Called By you would think could be used after being set, but still cannot be used. It has to be the end of Meep's turn. Their turn has to completely end. Then the Called By will be activatable. Full loss to D at just 600. We got screwed by our own card. We anti-spell fragranced ourselves as the Period Reese map was a full wombo combo at the start of the main phase 1. Search for a D Lotus, then pop off from there. Gold Sark is done ticking away, grabbing a Tragedy from our banishment. To battle we go with a Tragedy. The anti-spell fragrance is definitely slowing down this duel. As we main phase 2, Anaconda. Anaconda, copy Branded Fusion, which is not in the deck, it's in the grave, so we copy the Fusion deployment instead, summoning an Albaz. As we now use Tragedy to recycle the Branded Fusion, but we can't use it because we activated the Anaconda and there's an anti-spell fragrance. Okay. Now we could Period Reese map at the start of our main phase, grabbing the Dark Beckoning Beast to additionally summon that D Lotus. Grabbing the Chaos Summoning Beast, we're going to Branded Banishment, reborn the Rinbrum, and then fuse with either field, fusing away your Dark Beckoning into a Lubellion. Lubellion on summon, discard to fuse into a Mirror Jade. Again, we screwed ourselves again with anti-spell fragrance. How? I don't see any spells. We searched for a Chaos Summoning Beast instead of a Spirit Gates, which is what we should have searched for to make a play. We're going to return back the Chaos Summoning and the Yubel to come forth and make our Phantom of Yubel. Mirror Jade's going to non-target monster banish the Phantom of Yubel, which will change the effect to instead pop a Yubel from the deck. We're not going to finger that because we do not care. Pop in Yubel to trigger to summon from the deck a Terra Incarnate. which would actually activate to wipe out the entire field. Now, we're also chaining Called by the Grave to the Ash Blossom. It's over. It's over. Anti-spell Fragrance screwing ourselves up. I could not believe it. Is it a related card? It should be. Yeah, these Spirit Gates normally would have been searched for here. Unfreaking believable. We could have discarded D-Lotus, then reborn D-Lotus, but the Anti-Spell Fragrance stopping the Parry Reese map, stopping the Spirit Gates. I can't tell who was harmed more by the Anti-Spell Fragrance, but it looks like Yubel was. Perelia in the draw phase. If you normal summon that Ash and special summon a Poplar, we're going to draw per summon. We're going to go for the Volcanics play instead. If we summon a Kieran from the hand, if we summon a Garunix from the hand, if we summon the Ponix from the hand, that is all a draw off of the Perelia. We now are adding Maxx to the mix. We've already drawn 1 card, now drawn 2. Drawn 3. Valor, negate the Ponix, negate. 3 cards drawn so far. If we summon a Diablo Star from the hand, that's draw 2 cards. We'd be up to 5 cards drawn. 3 cards drawn so far as we have to desperately make the Fucho, then end our turn. That's it, draw 1 more. So we drew 4 cards. That was crazy, let's go. We couldn't Bonfire into Poplar, that would be a draw 2. Diablo Star, draw 2. Some for the deck would have been draw 1. What is good here? Now, the Fucho is the ultimate stop against Tenpai. The only way to stop this would be a Goddess, which they normally are not playing. It's unaffected by card effects. You detach 2 materials, and it now cannot be destroyed by battle. Let's go. Kaimin, add from the deck a Dora the Explorer. We're going to summon Dora. Add from the deck again Roku, which will trigger to summon itself onto the field here. Again, Roku jumping off the summon from the deck into a Chandra. Dora is trolling, ignore that. We're going to go to the battle phase to trigger the Chandra, make the Fucho indestructible as we summon a Pydra at the start of the damage step to play around something like an Ash Blossom, setting up the Kaimin. Chandra is now going to be Synchro Shokaning into a Bident Dragon, Bident triggering on summon to reborn the Chandra, Pydra activating to Synchro Summon into a 10. Remember, the Fucho is unaffected, we're safe, but the Ruddy Rose Dragon is going to banish all those cards in the opponent's graveyard. The limited 1 Ash is now gone from the game. Banish every card from both players' grave. Nuts. Set Droplet and Imperm now back to you. We have Imperm to negate, Droplet to negate, Ash to negate, Ghost Ogre to pop mate for disruption, plus we are able to summon a Transcendent Dragon during the battle phase, which will force them to attack with every single monster. They do not want to do that. We're going to Ash Blossom, negate that Bonfire, now down to triple disruption. Call by the Grave, finger that Ash Blossom. Now what can we do from there? Nothing, as we have to let our Ash get fingered, Bunished. Now at the Bonfire, we don't have Snake Eye Ash anymore. We're going to have to grab Poplar into an Oak. Let's see what we do here. Trigger the Poplar, which under the effect of Perelia, which we're no longer under, it would be giving us a draw. Linkuriboh. Sure, this tells me we're maybe making a Little Knight play. As the Poplar equips into the back row, we're going to make a Nightmare Phoenix instead of Little Knight on summon, not discarding to pop. Send Poplar to summon Oak. Oak on summon, reborn from the graveyard. I'm expecting a negate here. No negate onto the Oak, mate. What? That's interesting. Activate the Fire King Sanctuary to set up the Fire King Island. We're going to Wanted Seeker, search our deck for a Diablo Star. There's a Linkuriboh Grave. Okay, correction. I'm a fool. Linkuriboh would dodge the Impermanence, but it would not dodge the Droplet if we sent a monster. So I'm not a fool. We probably should have negated the Oak by sending the Fadra, right? They didn't have a way to chain a spell to it, right? They didn't have Wanted Seeker in the hand when they were making that play. Yeah, Wanted Seeker has been gone for a while. Diablo Star's setting up the original Sinful. I'm still a fool? What are you talking about? Droplet on Oak was a good play. Wanted was in the hand when we did that? Was it? It was? It was. Okay. No, I'm not a fool. You Droplet, send, Lightning Storm, and Fadra. You're a fool. All right, we're going to summon a Flameburge. Flameburge from the deck. Flameburge, push the Ruddy Rose to the back row, which we can now use on our own turn if we want to steal it from the back row. Imperm, negate the Flameburge. Flameburge, if sent to the grave, is going to reborn 2 level 1 fires. Making our Promethean Princess, we do have Ogre and Droplet left. as the Flameburst reborns Poplar and Oak, Promethean reborning the Nightmare Phoenix, turning this into a Raging Phoenix. We're attempting a one-turn kill play here as we make the World Sea Dragon Zelantis, which will banish the entire field, return the entire field, trigger the Promethean to pop a card on the field, triggering the Raging Phoenix to reborn from the grave, inflicting lethal damage. So to stop all that, we have to use Forbidden Droplet right here, right now, negate the World Sea Dragon from inflicting lethal damage. We're now going to turn this into a triple monster negate Apollo USA mate. We're going to use the Fire King Island. Now, what the heck is this Ruddy Rose doing? When your opponent activates a card or effect that would destroy a card. Wow. We are destroying our own card, though. Why are you doing this? Tribute this card, negate the activation. Then you can optionally summon a Black Rose Dragon from your extra deck or grave. Huh? Apollo? Negate. Ghost Ogre is not a negate, but essentially it is like an MST negate. Apollo can't reduce her attack, thus she is stopped by the Ogre. You'll be destroyed, and you will be negated. Negate. Ogre get poppin'. Ogre is great. Ogre works against Little Knight, Apollo, as long as they're not made with a Masquerena, that is. Wow. And summon a Black Rose Dragon. Now, you are negated but not destroyed because you could use the Fire King Sanctuary to destroy something else instead, right? Did we even destroy? Negate the activation. I don't say anything about destroying. I'm just negating the activation. All right, let's go. Promethean Princess is triggering off of you summoning a Black Rose Dragon, come forth and reborn, triggering the Raging Phoenix to reborn from the grave, targeting the Ponx to gain its attack to then turn this into an Amblo Whale. With the Amblo Whale, 3,800, we're going to Kaiman in the battle phase. What did I say we're going to do? We're going to be able to summon a Transcendent Dragon, but the Amblo Whale's at 3,800, so who cares, right? Now back to Tenpai Dragon. Ponx going to add itself back from the grave to our hand after being destroyed. We have the only form of disruption is going to be the Promethean Princess, right? We don't have anything else that would be good off of the Amblo Whale, but Amblo Whale will have the ability to pop a card in the field, so we have about 2 disruption. Hydra, set up the Sangan Summoning. Sangan Summoning make us unaffected within our main phase 1. Searching for a Hydra to then discard that Hydra. Okay. Vajra reborn from the grave, a Chandra. We cannot be destroyed by battle nor take battle damage. Hydra activating to Synchro Shokan into a Meteor Burst Dragon. And just like that, you cannot activate any monster effects whatsoever. But we're like bricking. What the heck is going on? We gave up our Synchro, our tuner. We lost the time limit. We didn't Chandra summon from the deck. I think we panicked and activate Hydra. Wow. That was something. We couldn't just mindlessly go into a Transcendent Dragon because of the Amblo Whale being too large. But a play would be is to kill your own Transcendent Dragon, then reborn it. And then once it's reborn, destroy the Amblo Whale. Their graveyard's turned off. They would not be able to Promethean Princess. And I believe we'd have game from there, right? Attack, Transcendent, attack, reborn Transcendent, pop, lethal damage. I think that was the play to win. Begin. No Mulch Army. You play 9 Maxx C and you open none. We got double Lightning Storm though. Now Lightning Storm's activation being negated would be great here because we do have another. Now what is something that could actually negate the activation of it in a Snake Eye Fire King? That would be nothing. But if it were against Yubel, which has the newly released Varadros, that is something you'd want to be considering in this duel. The Flameburst Summon Volcanics will grab the Garunix, with the Garunix will turn into pop a card on the field non-targeting and give us the ability to negate with the Arvata. And we also have the Skybird, which will pop a card in the field, and we have the Masquerena, which will be able to double banish through a Little Knight. We have the Amblo Whale, which will be able to pop a card in the field. We have the Promethean Princess in Grave, which will be able to pop a card on special summon. 7 disruption, only 7 is what it looks like we're dealing with. Let's go. Flameburst. What is happening here? You cannot activate Flameburst in my main phase unless I perform an action or I tell you I'm ending my main phase. This means Nibiru wanted to go for that Masquerena. I'm gonna grab a Kirin. I think we already have the Grunix Engrave. That's why we didn't grab that here. We're gonna be triggering the Flameburst, Reborn, the Oak, and the Ponix, and the Ash. We're now turning this, instead of a double disruption Little Knight, into a quadra disruption Apollo. So from 7 disruption, we're now at 9. 9 disruption. Apollo, negate the Pydra with no Sanguine Summoning. We are affected by that negate, and our double Lightning Storm is completely dead, unless we lose all our monsters. We're going to get Sky Burned. We're going to trigger the Garunix, come forth and summon, pop a Kirin. Kirin's going to pop the Pydra, which will now drop us down to 6 disruption, and now we have our Vata on field. Lightning Storm, say goodbye to the back row, which take out the monsters. What the? Instead of going for the monsters, we went for the field spell, which triggers after being sent to the graveyard or banished to wipe out our own monsters. Amble Whale, Reborn the Promethean Princess, Alcanix come back, Kaimin within main phase 2, add Genroku, trigger to summon itself onto the field. You can't Promethean Princess, not that you would want to that, but you could onto the Fadra. Fadra reborning the Pydra. Pydra on summon would have activated if we had not already. Now making Herratic Seal. Herratic Seal giving us the ability to non-target spin back an opponent's card back to the hand. Our Vata destroying the Alcanix within the end phase. We're going to right here, right now, spin back the Promethean before it reborns a monster in grave, as the Ash Blossom now negates the Herratic Seal from summoning a monster from the deck. But what are we left with? We had 9 disruptions. And now we have nothing in the hand, nothing on the field, nothing activatable in grave. Nothing. We can't Promethean, we can't Garunix, we can't Kirin, we can't Amble Whale. We have zilch. Nothing. What the? How did this happen? From a main phase 2 Lightning Storm. We are going first because we won game 2. They chose for us to go first. We are a turn 2 deck. Are you ready? We're gonna activate Kaimin, search our deck for Dora. Are we gonna turn off our Fool Loss? Yes, we are. Now, do we actually turn off our Fool Loss? There's a moment. There's 2 ways to keep your Fool Loss turned on and still have a disruption. That's gonna be through Little Knights. By banishing yourself, you now have no cards in the field. You now can Fool Loss them. Or Herratic Seal. Our main play. We jump off the field to spin their card back. We chain a Fool Loss on top of it, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. We have a great turn 1 play. Let's grab again Roku with the Dora. We do not want to set the impermanence though. We set imperm, that will turn off our Fool Loss. Maxx C, we're gonna Ash, negate. Seals past the classic, and with the Mulch Armies, it's even better. Multiple Mulch Armies would be activatable here. We can have double Fool Loss activated in response to our Herratic Seal. We're gonna summon a Chandra, Dora activating, Ogre pop it, and then we now can't Herratic Seal. Good job with your troll. As we now turn this into Herratic Seal. We set Imperm. We turned off Fool Loss. Okay, all right, we ain't Fool Lossing. Discard Ogre, summon from the deck Ash. Ash, activate, okay. Fool Loss is back in. We're back in. Imperm, negate. We're great. Okay, we just prioritize using the Imperm before the Herratic Seal. We're fine. Great. Battle phase, not great. Are we chaining Fool Loss? DD Crow to the Herratic Seal, thus we do not summon a monster from the deck. We could just wait with the Fool Loss. Now that there's not going to be a monster on the field, we could just wait. Do they even have a play? They're going to summon their Vata, which would be able to negate the Fool Loss, but they had no play to summon from the deck or extra deck, thus the Mulch Army would have been a waste. Lightning Storm off the top of the deck, take out the Arvata with nothing engraved to Reborn. Fadra Reborn from Engrave. We're going to chain Maxx C, and that is game. That is game. There's no way we could draw anything off Maxx C to stop this. Chandra at the start of the damage step summon for the deck Pydra. I want you to imagine we have an Ash Blossom. We top decked it, all right? We cannot Ash the Chandra. We cannot Ash the Pydra. We could Ash the Kaimin if they make a mistake. And you should assume that they have Ash in hand. The Ash Blossom, that is. Attack, attack, attack. Let's see, we're holding on to Ash Blossom here. Chandra Synchro, we have Ash Blossom, sure. Now you can't Ash. This is how you do it. This is how it's done. They could not Ash Chandra, could not Ash Pydra, and now could not Ash the Kaimin. If you are playing Tenpai, you have to understand that play. Very well done. 2-1 victory. Now, you're going to notice today I'm going to be a bit biased and, I'm going to be hot on the trigger of wanting the Mulcharmies to be activated at any cost whatsoever, whether it's a misplay or not. So hopefully, I want to see some more Mulcharmies. Begin. Grass looking green. Mill a ton of cards off the top of our deck. Holy moly, I just have witnessed absolute insanity in this graveyard. We have White Forest. We have an Elemental Burst. Tribute, blah, 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 blah. Destroy all cards on your opponent's side of the field. Why do we not care about the activation? Because we're just going to copy the effect through the transaction rollback. That's right. Right now, whenever we want, we could simply destroy everything. All cards, not monsters, not just back row, but everything gets destroyed whenever we want. Now, off of this, we do have the ability to summon from the deck, then perform a synchro to go into the ability to flip the opponent's field face down through the effect of Silvera. Non-target full field flip. We could also welcome Labyrinth, comboed up with a big welcome to spin a card back and then pop another card in the field or in the grave, or in the hand, that is. That's triple disruption I'm counting. We do have another transaction rollback, which could copy anything. Negate the extra deck, summon from the deck, summon from the deck, wipe the entire field, flip the whole field face down. We got options. Tobari is going to special summon a ninja from the hand. Hanzo on summon. Special summon will grab a Kagero from the deck. Kagero is going to be reborning a monster from the grave face down. We can wipe out the entire field now. Is that what we're doing? Elemental Burst. Burst their entire field. Shinobi, you are a real one for not surrendering right now because I do want to see this. Wipe the field. Just like that. Lovely triggering. Ariane is going to be chain link blocking the Lovely from getting popped by the Ogre. Holy trigger madness. Chain link 4. Add Chandelier, summon Torby, draw a card, then summon or set if we want to. Lovely, then pop the Ogre in hand, thus leaving us with no cards. 0-0. Torby, discard, set up, stop, he's already dead. Oh my Jesus. Coup Clock triggering to grab back from the grave after discard and activate a Labyrinth card. Off the top of the deck, we got that Fua lost. To battle we go, 6,200. We still got plays. We got big welcome Labyrinth, come forth and summon, return back. That was a bit of BM. You should have let that attack go through, mate. 1-0. Let's go. What do we have here? The opponent has the ability to activate any of these traps we want from the hand, the trap trick being any trap we want from the deck, and that's all thanks to the Butler setting whatever trap we want to make it activatable right then and there. With that, let's see what we can do. We're going to reinforce our hand with a Hanzo, set up the ninjutsu field spell. Hanzo on someone's going to be searching for a ninjutsu trap. We got the duplication, set this up, and now attempt to pass. We're going to be setting up a big welcome Labyrinth. In the end phase, activating it as we then chain the Torby to set from our deck another Labyrinth card, which will be a regular welcome Labyrinth. As the big welcome summons from the deck or grave, then returns back to the hand. Coup Clock is activatable. We have the Torby triggering to return itself onto the field, as the clock now makes the newly set welcome Labyrinth activatable the turn it was set. With that, we're going to summon from the deck an Ariana. Ariana on summon's going to be searching our deck for a Labyrinth setup. And boy, is this a setup. You need to have 2 Labyrinth spell/traps that are banished or in your grave, and then you shuffle them in the deck to then, if you control a Fiend monster, set 2 normal traps with different names from your deck. What? Torby discarding the Woes to set a card from the deck. We're going to use the Dancing Leaves. So what the Dancing Leaves is attempting to do here, we are going to be special summoning a ninja from the deck. We're going to chain Arius because you activated an effect in response to a Labyrinth card to reborn itself from the grave. Come forth, Butler, as we tribute Hanzo to summon from the deck the Geo. Geo is going to flip 2 bodies on the field face down, and they cannot change their battle position, even if they were summoned previously. You and you, face down you go, to never be flipped again. We're going to trigger the Ninjutsu Arts Hidden Village to add back the Hanzo to our hand. As the Big Welcome Labyrinth chains to return the Ariana back to our hand, Duplication is going to tribute off the Geo to summon up to level 8 worth of monsters. We're going to chain the Labyrinth setup to set 2 traps from the deck. I think the clock is triggering, right, to add back to the hand? Yeah, buddy. One of those traps will be activatable to turn their set. Dimensional Barrier or the Morella to send a trap from the deck to the grave. We have Mitsu, Tobari, and Kagero. What's going to happen here is the Mitsu is going to have the ability to negate a monster effect. The Tobari could fuse into a monster that deals with a card on the field. The Kagero is going to be reborning a monster from the grave. Sure. All right, add back with the field spell. The Hanzo. Woe set itself back in back row. Coup Clock onto the field here. We're going to use Torby to summon itself back in the field as the Kagero reborns from Engrave. Back onto the field, face down the Geo. Sure. Ready to fuse or negate a monster effect here. We're going to fuse right now. Fusing into the Yagamaru. Yagamaru on special summon is going to be banishing a card in the field, taking out that Dimensional Barrier. Interesting duel we have here. Dancing Leaves is going to be returning itself back to the hand as we summon our Hanzo. Hanzo on summon, searching for the Notebook of Mystery. We're going to flip up the Geo to flip our own monster down plus yours. Your monster cannot be flipped back up. On flip, we're going to banish from our Engrave to then banish a card on the field, and we're going to use the effect of Geo to target 1 card in the field and destroy. We are destroying, and we are banishing, and we are ashing to negate that Big Welcome Labyrinth mate summon from the deck. I don't think so. We're going to chain Morella to send likely a transaction rollback from the deck as we use the trap trick to banish a trap from the deck to make it activatable to turn its set, to then use Woes to summon from the deck a monster to then perform an optional synchro summon, which could flip the entire opposing field face down, but ninjas are into that. We have Daruma, which is activatable. You have transaction rollback to copy a trap Engrave. Take out the trap trick. Goodbye to the Big Welcome, being banished. We did not perform a synchro. We passed on it. So the Mitsu is going to negate the Sylvie effect by flipping up a face down monster. No white force spell/trap from the deck to the hand. As we now make a Saizo, that is. Saizo Link 2 is going to grab the Iron Digger from the deck. And with the Iron Digger, we're going to be activating the effect to banish from Engrave to destroy that back row Daruma, forcing its early activation to send the Saizo to the grave and flip everything else face down. We're also going to chain summon Morella from Engrave. Get flipping and sending. Now, we could fuse with our face down monsters. It's not that big of a deal. The Iron Digger is going to trigger when sent to the grave, reborn a banished monster. Tobari is back. We're going to use the Notebook to set the Iron Digger from Engrave back onto the field, plus summon a ninja from the deck face down. As we send to the grave to fuse into Maizen. Maizen can make all your ninjas attack directly. 8,000 life, do we have enough? Now, it's worth noting, you have to remember, the transaction rollbacks in grave waiting to be activated. We have Mitsu again to negate a monster effect. Sure. You have to be careful with the Maizen. If you activate anything, the Maizen will be able to chain to your activation to summon a ninja from the deck. We have Imperm, we have Tribute to summon a card from the deck, which will turn into a disruption. So Mitsu, Imperm, Tribute, and Flip likely. About 4 disruption. And on the flip, we could also fuse if we flip up the Tobari. That will be another disruption. Maybe about 5 disruption. Flip, going into Coral Dragon, which could discard a card to pop a card in the field. Oh no. By discarding Elemental Burst, transaction rollback can now copy the effect to destroy the entire field. Uh-oh. We're going to Mitsu, negate the effect of the Coral Dragon. Transaction rollback, copying the Elemental Burst. We're going to chain Maizen to summon from the deck a monster that will just be destroyed. Come forth and summon. Wipe the field, but the field spell is going to protect the field by banishing a ninja card from the graveyard instead. But we still lose quite a lot of cards as we lose out on our back row. The Baku on summon is going to be triggering, and so is the Hidden Village to add back the Iron Digger, as the Iron Digger also summons a special summon monster face down. Green Ninja is going to flip the Coral Dragon on the field face down, as we are going to be returning back to the hand our Green Ninja as we resummon our Tobari. Lots of plays happening here. Sure, add back, ready for the next turn. Summon the Ariana. Ariana on summon, grabbing a big welcome labyrinth as we flip up our coup clock to turn it into a Muckraker. Muckraker will discard the card if we want to then reborn a monster from engrave, but instead we're going to keep it up. Now with the Muckraker on field, we can very simply protect any of our cards from being destroyed. What's going to happen is if a monster would be destroyed, you could tribute a fiend instead. But you have to remember, the Maizen has the ability of all your ninjas can attack directly. They're at 2750, and we do have lethal on field. We're going to use the notebook to set a ninja from the grave and set a ninjutsu from the deck. Sure. We're now going to Iron Digger. With the Iron Digger equipped onto the Maizen, it's going to get Bob boosted as we summon a second copy of the Maizen. We're going to use the field spell to add back a notebook engrave. We have 5,500 direct attack. We have over 6,000 damage direct attack. We're going to use the Iron Digger to target one card in the field to destroy it, which will be that big welcome labyrinth, as the Maizen does not negate but is chaining to summon a ninja from the deck. That is going to be a Mitsu ready to negate whatever monster effect you may have here as you return back the areas to summon an Ariane. Ariane triggering to draw a card to then potentially special summon the Butler back in the field as we instead flip up our Yagumaru. Yagumaru, when flipped, is going to banish a card in the field as we then have direct attack for lethal damage, just like that, ninja taking an epic Game 2 victory. Damn. Target a card in the field and banish it. Negate with the Mitsu. Maizen summon from the deck and allow us to attack directly. Iron Digger, pop a card in the field. The Notebook is a very dangerous card. If your opponent controls a card, you get to +1. You set a ninja and ninjutsu arts from the deck or graveyard, but one from each. Let's go into game number 3. Naruto at the bottom. Double Bell plus Ogre. We have Sylvie searching our deck for a Woes to summon from the deck to turn into a Severa full field flippage. As we also have Morella, send a transaction rollback to copy any trap effect. And then the Trap Trick to also grab any trap from the deck. So let's talk about this. We have Ash, Trap Trick, transaction rollback, and full field flippage. We have at least 4 disruptions. Reinforce, grabbing a Hanzo. Hanzo on summon, searching for a ninjutsu card. We got the Hidden Village, a great way to continually recycle our cards in grave. We have the Notebook to set from the deck and grave, but the Ash Blossom will negate. Now down to 3. What now? What do we have here? As we use the Woes to summon from the deck to immediately perform a Synchro Summon into the Severa to activate to flip the Hanzo face down. Flipped. Elzette is going to trigger to summon herself back, add back to the hand, that is. As the Hanzo gets flipped, the Baku is unfortunately trash in our hand. The Bell's no good, the Ogre's no good. What is good? This can't even be destroyed by the Ogre. Now we have the Trap Trick added on top of it to set any trap we want from the deck by banishing another copy. The Big Welcome is negatable by Bell. Regular Welcome only summons from the deck, but because Big Welcome can summon from the graveyard, we do have that negate. Big Welcome negate. Bell, I believe a lot of people were side decking in the TCG when Labyrinth was more prominent. We can transaction rollback copy the negated Big Welcome. Can't use another Ghost Bell, unfortunately, as we summon Ariana to return back the lady. We're going to have the Ariana be destroyed by the Ogre, but not get negated. Now, we are activating to draw or search a card. We're going to be searching for the Labyrinth setup, which will give us 2 of any trap we want from the deck. And you may be thinking, how are more people not playing this card? It can be difficult to set up. And we do have Bell to negate. I don't think so, mate, as we chain summon Lady Labyrinth from the hand. With the Lady Labyrinth, we can activate Woes to then chain Lady to set any trap we want from the deck. Gotta be very careful here. We're gonna Elzette instead send the Woes to special summon to search our deck for a Stellar to trigger the Woes to reset itself. Then with the Stellar, we can send the Woes to summon any monster we want from the deck. That is a White Forest, as we now make a Diabel. Diabel on summon, recycle a spell or trap engrave back to our hand. Now, what the heck is this? This is a hard once per turn. This is impossible. You can only activate 1, and when a card states that and you ash it, you can't use another one, right? You activate it, the effect is negated, it's done. but Bell works differently. Bell negated the activation. By negating the activation, we can activate another one. Where is that in the duel log? I swear we negated it, right? Activatable again, return back on the deck, as we now set up a transaction rollback, which could copy a trap from the opponent's grave. But we want to get it into the grave. We could do that through the White Forest cards. Ingenious. Summon from the deck to then, we set 2 back row to send them to the grave. So by doing that, we now have Elemental Burst set up, ready to wipe out the entire opposing field. We have Coral Dragon, discarding a card to pop a card. A Stellar is going to be re-special summoning from the grave, as we now turn this into a Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel has its full effects, I believe. Chaos Angel on summon, banish a card off the field. It had been used with a light and a dark. None of your monsters can be destroyed by battle. None of our synchros are affected by monster effects, and just like that, lethal damage. Both of your decks are incredibly cool. I like both of them a lot. White Forest with setting up traps in the deck on the back row, send them to the grave. Elemental Burst, which it looks like you are consistently being able to copy it with your transaction rollback. That is nuts. Voiceless. Voice. Do we care about Fualos? We summon our rituals from the hand. Fualos is not affecting us there. And even if you max see us, we could stop early on our plays and still have some good disruptions, a pretty good field. Now, Parelia can negatively affect the deck more so than a Fualos potentially, but Parelia is not really used unless they are playing Tenpai or a Go second deck, aka pretty much just Tenpai. Begin. Barrier of the Voiceless. The opponent has no disruption whatsoever, so we're going to speed this up. Now, this plays into a Call by the Grave. It also plays into a Bestial. We do have Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph to negate the Call by the Grave. Negate a spell. To negate the activation or the effect that's very important against a branded deck. So let's read that. Activate spell or effect. Place this card. If you do, negate the effect, meaning that the branded fusion being added back to the hand through the effect of something like a Retribution or a Tragedy would make it so it's not activatable again. That is a good thing. The Dynamundo is going to have the ability to reborn from engrave our Skull Guardian with the purpose of triggering the low to reborn and set up a trap from the deck. So let's talk about our disruptions real quick. Super Polyfuse with the field, Pendulum Graph negate a spell, Skull Guardian negate anything, Low's going to give the trap that's going to pop multiple cards in the field. That's about 4 disruptions I am counting up. I don't think we're going to have a ritual monster in the hand to use with the Blessing, right? No. Chain Branded in High Spirits, we're fine with that. Make them think that we maybe had a finger on top of that if you were going to Pendulum Graph negate it. Let's search our deck for a kit, as the Mundo now resolves to summon the Skull Guardian. If they activate a Branded Fusion, do you want a Pendulum Graph or Skull Guardian? Skull Guardian negates the activation, which is not going to be a good idea against Branded Fusion. You want to negate the effect, not the activation. Low Reborn, trigger the low, set up the trap. Also, our entire field of monsters are completely untargetable, and you can't attack into a non-ritual monster. What is good? Critus is going to non-target reduce the entire opposing field to 0 attack, as instead of popping, we summon a Sarvis from the deck. We're going to Super Poly, discard to fuse with the opposing player's field, fuse it up, and we lost our Pendulum Graph. What the heck is this? The new card, brand new, just came out today. Chaos Star Source Dragon. A dragon plus a dragon, one of them have to be light or dark. And then, if this card is fusion summoned, you could target cards your opponent controls up to the number of light and dark monsters. Use as material, target up to 2. And then if this card is banished, you could target a level 4 light or dark dragon you control. Its level becomes 8, who cares mate? Wow. Let's get popping. Chaos, wipe out Critus. Critus activate. We're going to chain the Sarvis. Let's talk about our forms of disruption. Let's update this again because things have changed. Instead of popping, we summoned. And because we summoned instead of popping, I believe that was the better play because otherwise we didn't have a way to gain access to the Sarvis ritual, which we could use more than once. We can negate an inherent summon, return it back to the hand, then resummon it through the effect of Blessing to negate another inherent summon. Plus we have the Skull Guardian to negate anything. So 3. Skull Guardian negating the activation of the Alibur and destroying. Now down to double disruption. Albion, send from the deck a branded fusion. Tragedy, set that branded fusion. Now what does Sarvis do against branded fusion? When your opponent would special summon a monster and the branded fusion special summons a monster, return this card back to the hand, negate the summon. This does not work. It does not negate an effect that activates to special summon unless it says on the resolution of this card, perform a summon mechanic, which would be something like the Tenpai cards. And then even then, the Tenpai cards can be used on Chainlink 2 or higher to make the Sarvis miss the timing. Is Sarvis even good against branded? Probably not. What are we even negating? Gold Sark, in the TCG it works, yeah, I'm sure, of course. As we banish from a courier, grabbing the Golden Sword Soul, activate the branded fusion, send from the deck Albaz and Lubellion to come forth and summon Albion. Albion on summon is going to be banishing from the grave to come forth and make our Mirror Jade. Wow, is this Sarvis useless? Kit cannot be negated by Sarvis's effect to negate a summon. Brandon and White cannot be negated either. You would think from this duel that Sarvis just can't negate anything. As we now make a Borreload Furious Dragon. To battle we go, we can attack into you, thanks to the Caritas reducing you, as we now take out the Sarvis, which was not summoned through the effect of Blessing, thus it was destroyable by battle. We now have the follow-up of Borreload Furious, taking out the barrier of the Voiceless, which the Blessing will just add back. We're now going to Lubellion set up Branded Loss, Titan-clad summon from the deck during the end phase a Quem, as we now use the effect of Albion to set up a Branded Banishment, as we now have Cartesia adding itself from the grave back to our hand. Let's talk about this. This could be quite confusing. We can get the Mirror Jade engraved and reborn it with the Quem, which will be a form of disruption to non-target monster banish. We can reborn a, we don't have an Albaz engraved. We're going to use the banishment to reborn, then fuse with either side of the field. Then the fusion itself will be a form of disruption. And then the Branded Loss will search for Mercurial, which will be a monster negate. And then we also have the droplet itself. So we probably have about 4 to 5 disruption, depending on how we play this. Call by the Grave is going to be fingering the Albion, turning off about 2 disruption. We're now down to 3. Okay. How do we actually trigger the Lost now? Oh, that's going to summon Cartesia. There you go. That could trigger the Lost. Yep, we got this. We got this. We're going to grab back the Low with the Blessing, Saphira sent to the grave to then send the Ritual Spell to grab from in-grave our Skull Guardian. We're going to Saphira banish to perform a Ritual Summon, tributing the Low to come forth and summon a Skull Guardian. The Skull Guardian's negate is not turned on yet until the Low hits the field. Once Low hits the field, they are ready to negate. And we do have the Radiance to pop at least 1 card in the field. Sure. Resummon the Low, set up from the deck, another barrier. Now we cannot be targeted. Return 2 spell cards in the grave to summon a Sarvis. Barrier searching for a Saphira for a next turn play. Radiance is taking out the Branded Lost, as we're now down. We lost the Quem, so we can't reborn the Mirror Jade. We have the Forbidden Droplet sending the Cartesia to negate the Skull Guardian within the damage step, committing to that attack. And the Ritual Spell, which is so important to look at, does not trigger. The Ritual Spell states that your monster that's a ritual must leave the field by an opponent's card effects, not by battle. We have Chaos Angel on summon, activating to banish the Mirror Jade. Now the Mirror Jade states, Synchro monsters are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent, and the Mirror Jade just activated to destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn. But the activation is not destroying the Chaos Angel. The activation is giving us a lingering effect that will destroy the Chaos Angel, thus it is affected. We have the Alibur reborning from engraved to try to negate the Sarvis. Sarvis return itself back to summon from the deck. What's going to be? A Skull Guardian. Skull Guardian is going to be triggering the Low engrave, had we not already done so, and say goodbye to the entire field, which would then have triggered the Ritual Spell, right? Let's read this, actually. Wrong one. Let's read this. This states that a face-up light ritual leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, banishes cards, summon a Sarvis or Saphira or Skull Guardian from the hand or deck. We didn't want no targets in deck. Oh, we ran out, didn't we? We're out of juice. Holy moly. Branded has squeezed us dry. Unbelievable. Let's hop into game 2. Diviner on summon, send a Triash. Triash going to tribute the Diviner to then trigger Diviner to summon a low from the deck. This is full 1-card combo. That's it. Low, grab a Barrier. Barrier, grab a Saphira. Saphira, grab a Skull Guardian by sending a Ritual spell from the deck to the grave, which will give us protection from field removal. By banishing Saphira, tributing the low, summon the Skull Guardian will trigger the low to reborn from the grave as the Skull Guardian searches our deck for a Pendulum Graph Dragon. With the Pendulum Graph Dragon, we are going to set it up to search for a Ritual spell within the end phase. And we're about to get cheesy up in here, or will we? There could be only one monster type each on the field. You could have a dragon, a worm, a spellcaster. Now, does this heavily affect Branded? If you look at Branded's extra deck, we have a dragon, we have a warrior, we have a dragon, we have a dragon, we have a wing beast, we have a spellcaster, a dragon, worm, fiend, dragon. I guess dragon's going to be the problematic monster type. Dragon. We just can't have more than one dragon. That's a problem. In the hand, we have spellcaster, fairy, dragon. Branded is quite diverse in their monster types. I don't think it's going to affect them as much. Now, for us, we have a fairy, and a warrior. We're going to keep the low and the warrior, then we're good for that Omni Negate plus the Floodgate and a Super Poly. And a Call by the Grave. I'll just count the Call by the Grave as a disruption here. I go back and forth on that. We're going to be sending a Retribution from the deck to the grave to grab an Imperm off the top of the deck, which is not activatable due to the barrier, making our cards untargetable. We're going to activate Branded Fusion, but not negate the activation, mate. If you activate the Skull Guardian, I believe that would have been a huge blunder because it would very simply be added back to the hand with the Retribution to then just be used again. In fact, I think it was probably a mistake to even reveal the Retribution. Did we have to do that? We could have just branded, Albert, Branded Fusion, activate it, they negate, then Albion, send Retribution, add it back, and then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We have Tragedy, triggering, and Grave, Call by the Grave, fingering that Tragedy off of the summon of Lubellion. Negate the search of Tragedy. You will not be searching for a Despia monster. Now, what do we have here? We have 3 disruption left, right? Super Poly, there could be only 1, and the Skull Guardian. Golden Sword Soul, because a card was banished face up, it's going to trigger to summon onto the field the Clem from the hand. We have the Skull Guardian, which is about to get banished by the Mirror Jade, possibly. We're going to flip up. There can be only 1 monster type on the field. Getting rid of our low. As the Trias gets banished, and the low dodged the Mirror Jade with our own Floodgate. That was smart. Golden Sword Soul negated. We have Super Poly left as our only play. We're locked out of summoning a fairy or another worm. The Retribution is going to add from Engrave our Branded in white. It would have been the Branded Fusion had its activation been negated. We are now going to chain Super Poly to the Branded in white. Using with either side of the field, send to the grave the Mirror Jade and Aliber for our Moo Dragon. Moo Dragon's going to be untargetable, and it can declare light to make the Skull Guardian untargetable, as we're going to have to send the Albion and the Quem to now make a Coritis. With Coritis as the the Mirror Jade being sent to the grave, it's going to activate to destroy all opposing monsters during the end phase, and we are chaining the Coritis to reduce the Skull Guardian to 0 attack, which does not trigger the Ritual spell to summon another Ritual from the deck after being destroyed by battle. Important to kill that by battle, as the Albion in grave sets up the banishment, as you can now say goodbye to that Moo Dragon. Now, what is going on here? The banishment can reborn a properly summoned Mirror Jade to now have the effect to non-target monster banish again. But if it leaves the field, it will not have the effect to destroy all monsters during the end phase. And then the banishment could also possibly perform a fusion with the opponent's side of the field. That could be possibly 2 disruption plus the impermanence. And we have 3 disruption. Let's go. Barrier searching for a Blessing. Blessing can recycle a Voiceless Voice card that's banished from the grave back to the hand. Grab back the Low. Low can set up the trap now. With the trap, we're going to be able to summon a Sarvis or pop a card in the field. Imperm is going to negate the Low, which is targetable, as the barrier does not protect it unless we have a Ritual monster plus the Low. We are triggering the Blessing to summon the Pendulum Graph. So, did we make an oopsie? Let's read the barrier. Actually, the imperm negated even the barrier. That's interesting. I feel like we made a mistake here. If you have a low plus a light ritual, your opponent cannot target your monsters with card effects. So if you don't activate low, they probably won't imperm, right? There's a chance they still would just to negate the barrier, but what would happen is your Pendulum Graph would tribute low, low would trigger Engrave to summon, then you activate low, then they can't imperm to negate the barrier, and they also can't negate the low, right? Am I wrong on this? What happened with the Blessing? I thought we summoned a trigger. We summoned, we trigger Blessing, summon, you could ritual summon a light rich. Oh, you negated the effect of low. The low can't be used for a full ritual because you negated it. Very interesting. Would they have still used impermanence? I feel like you probably... We don't know what the other cards in hand were. I think negating the effect of low being the full cost of a ritual would have been too much of a gamble, which means activating this low was, I believe, a massive mistake. Who's with me on that? I think that was a huge blunder. We had to try to trick them to not use imperm. Triple tactics. Why? We did this at the... We did this within main phase? What? What? Why? Why did we main phase banish from the Air Jade? Nadir Servant, send the Garura, grab Maximus. Wait, why are we in main phase? I don't understand. Why are we in the main phase? What the heck happened? Main phase 2. Uh-oh. Entis sent to the grave to now pop a card in the field. We're going to take out the Caritas as the Herald of Arclight now searches our deck for a ritual spell or ritual monster. Come to us, Sarvis, as we now Caritas trigger and Aluber trigger to summon itself from the grave as we then summon a monster from the deck. We're going to chain Maxx for a double draw. Wow. Triple tactics talents coming in hot. Grabbing an Aluber for another turn. Was there a time where Aluber was limited to 1? Yeah, I think it was. Quem on summon, send from the deck a Cartesia. He was afraid of Typhon. Okay, I guess we could say that, right? Typhon. Wait, there's no Typhon in the extra deck. Who has Typhon here? No, I don't even have Typhon to look at. So I guess, so what we were afraid of was, that's what the chat's saying, by the way. I'm not saying this is actually the case. And to type Typhon, you have to do dash. Now, I don't believe that was the case here. What happened, I believe, was we were ending main phase 2, and that's when it became activatable. So if we look up here, so how this works is you can't enter main phase 2 and then your opponent goes, all right, and main phase 2 I'm Air Jade. I know that happened at your locals, but that is illegal. You cannot do that. This is an illegal play unless I performed an action or told you I was ending main phase 2. There was no set. There was no activation, there was no summon. Thus, the only thing that could have happened 100% was I end my main phase 2. So Typhon is not even in the equation here. But that is a good thought, though. And then we follow up with a triple tactics talent. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He said it in chat. Well, I'm sorry. He's misunderstanding, because that's not how that works. All right, let's go. Albion, send from the deck a branded sword. We are going to Nadir Servant, turning off our extra deck to grab an Albaz. We are going to Quem, trigger, Reborn from Engrave our Caritas, triggering the Blessing, tributing the low to come forth and summon from our hand an indestructible by battle, Sarvis. Sarvis may suck against a real fusion deck, one that's not contact fusion, but as you can see there, can't be destroyed by battle. That's what we were getting to. As we now set up the brightest blazing branded king. This negates everything. You choose your fusion monster and everything else, spell, trap, monster, negated. Let's see what's good. Barrier searching for a Saphira. Blessing, add back a ritual spell. When are we negating the whole field? Maximus, send from the extra deck. We're going to be grabbing a Skull Guardian off of that. Bro is playing Ashen unironically. What the heck do you do? What? Huh? If this card's fusion summon at the start of the damage of this card bat, what are you doing? Why is this in the extra deck? Huh? It's super poly. Oh, okay. 2 pyro monsters. Okay, thank you. Imperm, negate, Coritis. Are people actually using that though in the TCG? I gotta look that up. Branded sword, add back an Albaz monster. Come to us, Golden Sword Soul. Okay, we got Pot of E, not so good. We only have 9 cards left in our extra deck, and it has to be used at the start of main phase 1. We have Albaz on summon, not activating Diffuse, but triggering our blessing as we chain the Mirror Jade to non-target monster banished, likely going for the low, as we now negate everything. Coritis, before being negated, is going to reduce the opposing field to 0. Negate! Negate, 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 negate! Damn. That's crazy. Mirror Jade is the only thing not negated. I still can't be destroyed by battle, but I'm 0 attack. Uh-oh. Lethal damage. Beautifully done. Good job. And you know, you may be like, whoa, why is it indestructible? Everything was negated. It has a lingering forever effect of not being destroyable by battle. Begin. Discarded right away. Great. It's good for discarding with Diablo Star. We can use Kieran to pop Amble Whale, and by doing so, the Amble Whale could reborn a monster from the graveyard like the Masquerena. And making sure to do that before Promethean ensures that we're not locked into fire monsters only. And with the Masquerena, we can go into a Little Knight double banish play. So that's 2 disruption. And then we have Arvata, negate a monster effect. And we have Amble Whale in the grave, pop a card in the field if a Link 3 or lower is destroyed. We then have the Promethean Princess, pop a card in special summon. We have Garunix, which can pop Kieran to then pop a card in the field. That is 6 disruption plus the impermanence at 7 disruption. Are we done at 7? I believe so. 7 disruption. Can we play through it? We can Bestial the Masquerena. That's an issue. We're gonna have to Arvata negate the Bestial, right? Oh, yup. Arvata. Negate the Druiswarm as he's preemptively trying to take out our Masquerena, which he knows that we want to summon. And that's exactly what we're going to do right here, right now. We're going to chain quick launch to the Amble Whale, reborning the Masquerena. Quickly launching onto the field from the deck, our Rocket Tracer. Come forth, Masquerena. Likely going to go into a Little Knight soon as we link off Rocket Tracer into a Striker Dragon. Now, with Striker Dragon grabbing the Boot Sector launch, we could reborn the Rocket Tracer from Engrave. It summons from the grave or from the hand. We're gonna now use that Masquerena before the Boot Sector launch and an open game state is activated to reborn the Tracer, making our Little Knight play. And this is the final time we're summoning a non-fire, thus it's now safe to summon our Promethean Princess. On summon, activate to banish the field spell, we have 5 more disruption. Striker Dragon attempting to destroy itself as the Little Knight allows it to do so to grab back the Rocket Tracer. We do have our regular normal summon ready. We're gonna Kieran, pop the Arvata to trigger the Garunix. And now, Garunix will trigger, Arvata will trigger, reborn a negated Ponix. Garunix will pop a Kieran from the field or from the deck. And let's see what happens from there. We're gonna take out the field spell, yes? Pop in the on-field Kieran, Kieran triggering, reborn Volcanix, take out the Ravine. Volcanix, pop, Ponix, grab another Kieran from the deck. Nicely done. Wyver Burster is banishing to summon. We're going to chain our Little Knight, thus we passed on the use of our Promethean Princess. Bunish. Scores wrong? Whoa, oh, thank you. Thank you. Tracer popping the Bureau to summon for the deck. A monster to then triggered into a Promethean Princess to get popping. And the turn we have not used. How do we have 2 more disruption? We had Imperm and we had Amble Whale to destroy any card on the field. We went through 7 disruptions with 2 left over. Nicely done. Onyx add back the next turn after being destroyed. And we have, whoa, we're playing Buster Blader in our Dragon Link deck. We do have the Bestial Druistorm, which is public knowledge. We did negate it on the previous turn. We're going to pop the Kieran, trigger Kieran, reborn a fire monster. Before the fire monster being reborn, being in our Vata to negate the Druistorm, it's our final opportunity to use that Druistorm. We're going to trigger the effect of Ponix to summon from the hand. Trigger effects in the hand are at the same priority of an optional quick effect. Come forth, goodbye to the Link Karibo, as we now have the monster negate Arvata. On summon, taking out the regained. And I'm like, oh, Dragon Link sucks. I want to see you against 9 disruptions. Let's see it for the next game, all right? It did get top 16. I'm holding out that it's maybe using that brand new card that just came out in the latest pack. Also, the ban list has newly unrestricted the quick launch. Is at 2 or at 3? I forget. Wyvern Burst is completely unlimited. I think they're mostly going to be playing at 2. Let's see what happens when Dragon Link goes first. We Buster Whelped. Buster Whelp on summon, searching for the prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. We're going to draw in Lockbird. No more adding from the deck for you, as the Striker Dragon gets the Buster Whelp Engrave. And with that, we just need a Dragon Engrave plus Prologue to be able to turn all the opposing monsters into dragons, and they cannot activate. Now, I'm not familiar with this card too much. If this card's Link Summon, send a Destruction Sword card from your deck to the graveyard, then you could special summon a Buster Blader. We obviously did not do that. At the end of your battle phase, we didn't do that. I guess it was just to get dragons into the graveyard. Now that we have dragons in the grave, oh wait, we did do that. We sent a Destruction Sword, and then you could optionally summon a Buster Blader, which we did not do. Okay, that was from the hand. So we did get a Destruction Sword in the grave. Let's get ready for the big plays. Prologue's huge. Super huge. Mega Floodgate. Send from the deck a Destruction Sword plus a Buster Blader. Banish from Engrave the Destruction Sword Trap, which performs a fusion summon. And now the ultimate Buster Blader Destroyer Dragon Swordsman. Now we have to turn their monster into dragon, which is through the Buster Dragon. Just like that. And it had this additional effect that I rarely ever see be used. Ain't no way. Quick effect, target a Buster Blader you control, equip it with a Destruction Sword monster, which was sent from the deck to the grave through the effect of the Protector Whelp, which now very simply states that while equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot summon from the extra deck whatsoever. And this states all dragons your opponent controls are stuck in defense and cannot activate. But who cares? They don't play dragons, right? Well, the Buster Dragon, all monsters your opponent controls become dragons. No extra deck, no activation on fields, and you're stuck in D. How is this balanced? Well, I mean, it is balanced, right? This states that the Buster Dragon you summon is destroyed during the end phase of the next turn. That is why this Floodgate's balanced. Right? Diablo Star, discard, cannot activate on field because it is now a dragon. We're going to return back the original Sinful. Kieran can activate from the hand before it becomes a dragon. Arvata cannot activate. It is a dragon. And now at the end of this turn, we lose our Buster Dragon. Also, another way this is balanced is because the Buster Blader cannot attack directly. It can attack over a defense position monster and inflict piercing battle damage, though. We have Romulus on summon, searching our deck for a Dragon Ravine. Set up that Ravine. With the Ravine, we're going to send from our hand to the grave to search our deck for a Remus. Remus, while we control a Ravine, can discard itself to search for a Ravine. Wait, no, that doesn't have to control a Ravine. It just searches for a Ravine. Now with the second Ravine, we have a second activation as we discard the Prologue to search for a Legatus. You thought this was a regular Dragon Link deck? We have Remus Engrave reborning alongside the Legatus to now make a Gay Durg. Gay Durg is going to be searching our deck for a Wing Beast to then discard. Come to us, a Rocket Tracer, which could be a dragon also, right? It is a level 4 lore dragon or Wing Beast to then discard. Return back the Ravine to summon the Zephyros from Engrave, using the effect from the back row Destruction Sword to summon itself onto the field to make a Pisty. Now, we're going to make a triple burst dragon to point to where the Pisty's pointing to. And by pointing to the same spot, we can now use Pisty to summon a banished or engraved dragon. Come forth, Rocket Tracer. And with Rocket Tracer and Gay Durg, we make a Dispater. With Dispater, we could reborn a banished monster and negate a monster effect. Come to us, Buster Whelp, which doesn't trigger on special, to now make the ultimate Borland Dragon, which can attack every single monster on the field. We're going to negate a monster, reborn a monster, come back to us Rocket Tracer. At 6,800 attack, pierce for 6,600 damage. Attack with Borland, trigger the Garunix to summon from the deck a monster that could not activate. Attack again, no more summon. Wipe out Arvata. Arvata could trigger to reborn from the graveyard a monster that could not activate. But the Garunix Engrave can activate to summon itself onto the field, which we could just attack into it again. And the problem is the Kirin. The Kirin activates Engrave. Uh-oh. This activates. This will now reborn a monster from the grave, then destroy a card in the field, and this will not be able to stop it. Damage step, destroy any card in the field, which means the Dissipator cannot negate it. Uh-oh. Goodbye, Dissipator. Recharge or triggering, discarding itself to then target the Dissipator to reborn a different monster. Still continually attack with the Borland. Wait, Garunix is not a hard one to turn. We actually have a damage step negate now through the Triple Burst Dragon. Ain't no way. During the damage step, if a card is activated, you can negate the activation. Negate. This is crazy. Borland, how many times have you attacked? We are still activating another card. Attack again with Borland. Holy moly. Mobile X does not give up. Lethal damage. Nicely done for both players. Good sport, Mobile X. Thank you. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you for putting on a good show, both of you. Let's hop into game number 3. Summon Maxx, send to summon from the deck. Ulas very much likes that, as we are going to draw per summon from the deck or extra deck, as we now finger the Ulas. If it's worth fingering, then it is objectively good, right? That means it's a good card. There you go. Everyone get your Ulas. Come forth and summon a Ponix. We are at 2 summons for the Nibiru. Fire King Sanctuary, set up the Fire King Island. Pop the in-hand Flameburst, grab Garunix to trigger Garunix to come forth and summon into a 3rd summon. Pop from the deck Volcanics, summon from the deck a Garunix. We're at 4 summons. Now, this is not a trigger effect. It's a very powerful effect. It will mill 4 cards from both players, then summon a monster among those 8 cards. We can't let this happen. We have to Nibiru. Holy moly, we are not going to Nibiru. Wow. I will take an Ash off the top of my deck. Thank you very much. I feel like you should read this card as summon whatever you want from the deck, and I would always want to stop that. And, you know, even putting some cards in the grave could be quite detrimental to you too. But it does not matter. Nibiru tributing off the entire field. It all worked out. We're fine. Poplar equipped the flame version to the back row. We have no way to summon it. We have an Imperm, and that's it. Just Imperm. Lubellian, search our deck for a Magna Hut, ready to banish a light or dark from either player's grave. Chaos Space, discard the Magna Hut to instead grab a Wyver Burster. Chaos Space can return a banished card back to draw 1. We're going to summon that Wyver Burster into a Striker Dragon, which the Wyver Burster was limited to 1. It was also banned before being limited to 1. It's now fully unlimited. Striker Dragon being chain-link blocked from an Ash Blossom as we search for a Collapsed Serpent. We still have our open normal summon. Should you negate a Striker Dragon? If they have already used up their normal summon, I would say it's a strong consideration. If they have not used up their normal summon, then negating it is a really bad idea unless they have a Tracer in the graveyard that they want to reborn. We're going to make the Protector Whelp to send from the deck to the grave a Destruction Sword Whelp, as we then summon Serenir by banishing the Vampire to tribute the Serenir to summon a Lubellian, triggering Serenir to send from the deck another Lubellian. Lubellian set up the Regained, as we further Link climb Link 2 plus a body to make another Link 2 to grab our Dragon Ravine. With the Ravine, we're going to be grabbing a Rocket Tracer to normal summon as the Imperm negates that play. Potentially we were doing that because this is actually a Dragoony deck that's making a lot more plays than just go for the Rocket Tracer. Erratic Seal cannot activate on your own turn. You make that means you're planning for the next turn, right? Unless you're finding out a way to tribute it to trigger its effect to summon a monster from the deck. Now, again, we got the set. What is the combo? It's Prologue plus a Dragon in the Grave. And there you go. See, that's the Dragon. If you have a Dragon in Grave plus Prologue, you have the play of turn the entire opposing field to Dragon, and they cannot activate. That's it. We have Original Sinful and Grave returning back the Poplar to grab a Snake Eye Oak. We're now going to prologue before the summon of the Oak. This is on the resolution of adding a card to now get Fusion Summoning. We're going to chain Maxx, which we're going to draw 2 off of. A quite effective Maxx here. Draw 1, draw 2. What is the out to this, though? I guess Kieran was a pretty good out. If we could somehow have Kieran get destroyed, we could then activate Engrave to pop a card on fields. And we actually can't use our extra deck now. What's crazy is that you don't need this Destruction Sword Whelp turning off their extra deck for this to be good. This is already really freaking good. We're going to Heretic Seal, spin back the Fire King Island. Island is a hard once return. It's not going to be activatable again. You can activate the card, just not the effect, that is. Summon a Safer from the deck. Bonfire, grab a Poplar. Poplar will be triggerable to come forth and summon. Send Poplar for Diablo Star. We can't use the extra deck. Diablo Star can't activate. Poplar can't activate. Poplar and Grave can activate. 5,000 attack token. You're actually a dragon. Go back into defense. Now back to me. We have to win this turn as we lose our Buster Dragon in the end phase. Even if we lose it, I think we'll still be fine. We're going to be searching for an Absol Router. Turning the Safer into a Striker Dragon. Safer banished from Engrave to grab back a Lubellion to search our deck for a Bestial. I'm dying over this. Grab a Jerusalem from the deck. Banish a Lighter Dark from either player's graveyard. Goodbye to a Heretic Seal. Trigger Regain to add back that Heretic Seal to draw a card. This deck looks nuts. To resummon that same copy of Heretic Seal. Jerusalem triggering to send that massive token to the graveyard to now make our Pisty. Now remember, the Diablo Star, if sent to the grave, will reborn herself back. So we're going to make a triple burst dragon to ensure that that does not happen. Pisty pointing to the triple burst, reborn a banished or engraved dragon. Destrutto, how'd that even get in there? Come forth and reborn from engrave to now make a Borland dragon. Samsara Dragon banishing to target the Saronir, adding it back to the hand here as we now banish from either player's grave to come forth and summon and get ready for the piercing battle damage 1800. Trigger Diablo Star. No triple burst, but we have the Borland to attack as many times as we want, but there's not going to be more than one monster, so why waste its attack? And just like that, lethal damage with the Buster Dragon. Dragoonity, Buster Blader, Dragon Link. Very well done from both players. Thank you very much. Let's go.